Angels Care Home Health, serving Hayes and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
They're polite. They just take the time for you.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
I like the Angels for what they've done for me.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.
Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks for watching. Thanks as always to the producer of our series, editor, and behind the camera, Jeff Durall. We're at the Basilica of the Plains, that is St. Fidelis Church in Victoria, with Assistant Professor at Fort Hays State University, Dr. Terry Crull, Director of Choral Activities at Fort Hays State University, and we are talking about the annual Cathedral Concert. Or are we going to have to call it the Basilica Concert now?
Well, I was going to ask you, you said the Basilica of the Plains. Some of the members here, Kathy M. Ryan Kayworth, who grew up in this church, have said, it's a basilica now. I said, well, when they change the brown sign out on the freeway to call it the Basilica of the Plains, then I'll call it the Basilica Concert. But Cathedral Concert has kind of a ring for 31 years.
It has a nice ring. It has
people here at St. Fidelis have said, that's fine, you can keep calling it the Cathedral Concert. I do say it's at the Basilica, so we honor that promotion that the church has had.
Absolutely.
So it never was a cathedral either, as I understand. Mm-hmm. It was just a church, but Williams Jennings Bryant called it the Cathedral of the Plains, so that name stuck.
Probably based on the spires out front.
Yes, that you can see it from the train he came on 15 miles away or whatever on his Whistle Stop campaign tour. So.
How are you?
Good. It's been a busy couple weeks. Fort Hays Singers had a 5-day tour. We sang 14 concerts in 5 days at schools through Nebraska and Kansas. And then had our Thanksgiving break where my wife and I traveled to Illinois, so that was more travel. Got back Sunday night, and now boom, it's a Cathedral Concert.
Yeah.
It's a week earlier than it normally has been. Usually it's on the weekend of the 10th, 11th, 12th. But that's a crowded weekend too, with the football team going to bowl games, which the marching band, many of my members are in that, went to last year. Finals are the week after, so juries, which is when the kids perform their solos for their final semester grade. Mm-hmm. And they want to be well rested for that, not to mention their other classes. So we agreed to move the cathedral up to the 4th, weekend earlier. It's the same weekend as the Frost Fest parade, but the Frost Fest parade is until 6:30. Mm-hmm. So I've been telling people they have plenty of time to come to the cathedral, which will be done 5:15. Yeah. And grab a sandwich and get their place in the sidewalks of Hayes Main Street for the Frost Fest parade. And it's supposed to be beautiful weather, so we expect a large crowd here, close to 1,000 we usually put in here.
Well, and that usually works out very well too, with the afternoon starting time at
3:30.
3:30.
Yeah, when we had 6:30 concert, I liked it because, the dark ambiance. But with the sun coming through the stained glass window in the balcony, 3:30 is nice, and it enables a lot of parents, grandparents, and others from as far away as Kansas City, Denver even, who read about it in Kansas Magazine last year. I had 6 or 8 couples that said, we read about it, and it was a beautiful day, so we drove out. Sure glad we did. So that enables them and parents from far and near to get here and get home before dark, or to come after church in the morning and still make the concert, or get back home before evening. Darkness sets in, so works out pretty well.
Always a packed house too.
Usually very full. Yeah, we the second year I was here, we had a huge ice storm. Yeah. And it canceled our Saturday rehearsal. But the concert still went so well. I said, forget it. We aren't going to do a dress rehearsal. So we come in after Mass around noon, and at 1 o'clock we start finding our places. Hither and yon, because we do a lot of singing around in here, as you could probably tell from the acoustics.
I was going to say, if you listen closely in the microphone, you'll
Did
hear
that work, Jeff?
the booming bass voice of Dr. Terry Crull as it echoes through this beautiful
The
cathedral.
acoustics are, I tell people I've been in cathedrals in Europe, including St. Paul's, and there's a little bit more statuary by people like Michelangelo, you know, and you know, paintings and so forth. And in Spain, there's a lot more gold. But as far as the sound, this ranks right up there.
And
4.5 second reverb. It's just beautiful to
That's
sing.
the reason you keep coming back.
That's the reason St. Fidelis wants us to come back. We love. It's a great place for a Christmas concert. I couldn't ask for a better way to end of the year and start the Christmas season. Yeah. So the first Sunday of Advent, good place to have a Christmas concert.
Well, and the overall ambience of the cathedral itself lends perfectly to the music.
I think so.
What do you have planned for it?
We've got, there's always the thinking that it's the music department's concert, and a lot of the music department is involved, but really it's the choir's concert. So it's built around the Fort Hays Singers and the concert choir.
If you work that hard, take credit
I'm
for
going
it, will
to,
you?
yes. As soon as we're done here, it's hustle back to the office and try to get the program to the printer so we have programs for Sunday.
Okay.
And I've got to decide the order, and I've got to be careful that kids who are singing in this choir aren't also in the next event playing in the brass choir in the balcony, and they have to run or whatever. So we do keep the show moving. We've got 5 choirs, the Fort Hays Singers and the concert choir from Fort Hays State University. The Smoky Hill Chorale, community adult orchestra, 50 members strong. So they've got a great sound. The Hays High Chamber Singers, Johnny Matlock's group, is always a feature on our concert. And then we always invite a guest choir. And this year I'm delighted to say it's the TMP Singers, Kathy Amrine and the singers from Thomas More Prep Marion High School.
Excellent.
Right in Hays, many of whom have relatives or have attended here often. And of course, Kathy Amrine, their director, grew up here in this church. Kathy Schulte, I think, was her maiden name, and Kay Worth's sister. And Kay will be playing her oboe. The brass choir from Fort Hays, under new director J.J. Cooper, will be in the balcony playing music before. I love brass at the cathedral before the Christmas concert. We've got a visiting scholar from mainland China, Della Chiang Li, who is a great soprano, and she's going to sing a beautiful Latin setting of O Lord Most Holy by César Franck, Panis Angelicus. Many people will recognize that. And then she's going to sing a native Chinese piece from their winter festival, something about fly south wild geese. So,
wow.
So she's going to be participating. Dr. Ivela Allen and her beautiful soprano voice from our staff will be singing. The flute choir, Hilary Shepard, and 7 or 8 flutes in the Fort Hays Flute Choir will be performing from the balcony, and they always do delightful things like the Dance of the Reed Pipes or something from Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker. I have to, I don't even know the titles yet. I've got to get back to my office and see the many emails I've gotten over the Thanksgiving when I said I got to have it by Tuesday.
Yeah, you're playing catch up right now.
To put the program together for a week early, it's a little bit of a push. And Tom Mayer plays organ and accompanies a number of those interludes, the instrumental pieces. And Tom plays for the carols, because the congregation doesn't sit here for an hour and a half. They get to stand up and sing carols. This year we've got O Come Emmanuel, Silent Night, and O Come All You Faithful. So great carols to start the Advent season and to have a great sing-along. Just beautiful music, beautiful setting, cozy, warm atmosphere. It's funny, I work with my choir kids, and their grades are based on attendance. So if they have excused absences, they're okay, but if even too many of those can build up to a point where their grade is in jeopardy if they want to get an A for choir. So those people who have, for some reason or other, I don't know why they would, have an unexcused absence, which lowers their grade, they can have those erased, they get forgiven. They get absolved here in the Catholic sanctuary. If they come and work as ushers, we want to keep the heat in so we can turn the heaters off, so we close the doors. Guys will be standing at the doors and saying welcome, and then shove you in and close the door behind you. Gals who need to do that work will be ushers. And I've got one gal who had some health issues and missed a number of absences. She said, what can I do more? I said, you'll be my usher matron, and you go up and down the aisles and say, scoot over. Put that coat put that coat on your lap. Put that little kid on your lap. Scoot over. We can squeeze more people in there, because I anticipate with the good weather that they're calling for that it'll be packed this year.
Yeah.
And so the kids do that work, And of course, it's just phenomenal to work with Father John and Jan Brungard and the staff here. They are so accommodating. That crew will also be responsible to clean up and make sure there's no leftover programs. We leave the place cleaner than we found it, is my motto. And so we know we've got a good thing here with giving our Christmas concert in St. Fidelis, and we want to keep it that way. So we'll make sure we honor their beautiful place
that
and
is
keep it clean and neat.
Christmas tradition, you realize.
Very much so, yeah.
Tell me about the music you select, Terry, based on the location. You take very special pains to make sure it's right.
Well, the first year I was here, the Hayes High Chamber Singers hadn't been on the program for a number of years, and I invited them back, and Johnny Matlock and I have been good friends for many years, even before I came here. And his comment to me as a fellow choral director was very pleasing. He said, very appropriate music for the space. So he and I both worked very hard to bring the kind of music that was written for cathedrals like this, with the acoustics that, the year we did choruses from Messiah, the 25th anniversary, when the founder of the Basilica Concert, Cathedral Concert, now you got me calling it the Basilica Concert. Dave Rasmussen was the choral director, and he came back and conducted. We did choruses from Messiah, and some of them are quite high-paced, and with orchestra instruments accompanying, they can get a lot of activity in the music. And the more activity, the more parts are chasing one another, counterpoint or polyphonic texture we call it, the less clear it is in here.
Oh.
In fact, it was Pope Marcellus in 1557 who called the Council of Trent and said, no more of this polyphonic voices chasing one another with all these fa-la-la-la-las like you get in deck the halls and other sacred pieces that have that kind of activity, because I can't understand the words. And Palestrina, a piece of whom a composer whose Sicut Cervus, the Fort Hayes Singers, will be singing in here, pulled a fast one. He wrote a mass for Pope Marcellus. It's called the Pope Marcellus Mass. And the very first piece, Kyrie eleison, Lord have mercy. But the minute you say, Kyrie, everybody knows what you're saying. Like if you start, happy birthday, everybody knows and they sing along. So you know the text. So he wrote it wildly polyphonic texture, voices weaving in and out of that. You can't understand anything but Kyrie, you know, from the first word, but you know what the song is.
Yeah.
Now when you get to the Credo, which is the Apostles' Creed or Nicene Creed set to music, and it's got stanza after stanza after stanza, that he wrote like a hymn where everybody says everything at the same time. We call that homophonic texture, so you could understand the words. So he obeyed the Pope when he had to, but he was his creative composer self with a wild polyphony. So yeah, picking the right music can be a challenge. Plus, sometimes there's a theme. This year there's not a main theme. One year I had like the joys of Christmas. So we had the joy of Mary, the joy of the shepherds, the joy of the angels, and music was picked around that theme by each of the choirs. This year there's no general theme. Each choir is just doing their own set of music, other than Christmas as a general theme. So
3:30.
3:30.
Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon, absolutely free.
As the gift of the Department of
St.
Music.
Fidelis and the choirs of Fort Hayes.
To the community. We've got a minute left. What about the hat? TC 32.
That's my name. My number is 32. Today, there are 32 days left in 2016. I heard that from Mike Kerner on the radio this morning. I texted my Fort Hayes Singers and said, see, 32 days left. They all get sick of me talking about 32. My brothers and I all wore 32 on the basketball teams. So that's my number. Pam McGowan, my accompanist, made this for me. And today we start our caroling on campus. We've got the tree lighting.
That's right.
And so I'm dressed in Christmas red, and I wore my Santa hat. Plus, it's pretty darn warm on the motorcycle, because I rode the Valkyrie out here today. And I suspect that's going to be colder on the way back, because when I turned off the freeway, I felt a little breeze coming out of the west, which means I'll be heading into it on the way home. So the hat is even warmer than my stocking hat. So ulterior motives for wearing that. No, we don't do Santa Claus is Coming to Town at the Cathedral Concert, if that's what you were asking.
No, I was
There
not,
are some secular pieces, but not many.
Not many. There you
Yeah,
go.
Father Mike Scully years ago said, you do so much sacred music here with the States Go. I said, how can you not in this beautiful sanctuary? And have not had any complaints.
Assistant Professor of Music at Fort Hays State
Associate.
University. Associate Professor.
Thank you.
Sorry. Associate Professor, let's get that right. Of the choral works at Fort Hays State University, Dr. Terry Crull, from the Cathedral of the Plains,
Isn't it beautiful here?
our community connection.
Angels Care Home Health, serving Hayes and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
And the angel care nurse comes to see me once a week.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
Angel care has helped to stay home.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.